10 days ago, a soccer team in Thailand went missing, just off the face of the planet, disappeared. Now, it was 12 boys, ages between 11 and 16, and their 25-year-old coach. No one knew where they were. They speculated, they thought they knew, but no one could make contact with them. The situation was, in Thailand, it's monsoon season. There's a lot of rain happening. What they thought had happened was these boys had got caught in a flood and had escaped the flood by hiding in a cave. The floodwaters rose. They had a vague idea that they thought the boys were just going deeper and deeper into this cave in Thailand to escape the floodwaters. Now, they were correct in their assumption. They found the boys. Now, it took them 10 days to find these boys. They've only just found them in the last 12 hours, and it's 10 days without food. That's insane. Like, that is so ridiculous. 11 to 16 years old. They've said that they think the water that they were drinking was from the flood water, which is probably contaminated, or water that has seeped in from the rocks in the cave. They managed to be found by some very experienced, highly trained Navy SEAL divers from the UK, I believe. And they were wearing GoPros, and this was the footage of the moment that the diver popped out of the water and found the 13 boys.
Yeah, best you can.
Thank you. Hello, thank you.
How many of you? They're all alive. 13?
Yeah, 13.
Brilliant.
It's amazing that they found them. The only problem is that it's like the story's not over. Like, the story's only just begun, because the dive that the Navy SEALs took was incredibly difficult, and they'd made a few attempts to sort of get into the cave where they thought the boys were, but had to pull out due to the waters being too muddy and too high. So they waited a day or two, and the floodwaters actually receded, and then they sent in the Navy SEALs again with a string of LED lights so that if they were in this cave, they would know the route to get to and from the boys and get them back out. The only problem was the route in which they found them, one of the SEALs explains, is one of the most difficult dives he's ever done. And he is highly trained, like hours of experience, thousands of hours of experience. And he even finds it difficult. So what they've said is they've sent in medical supplies. They've checked all the boys. They've said they're all as healthy as they can be for the fact they haven't eaten in 10 days. And they've sent in food, protein gels, bars, water. They've sent in 4 months worth of food because they don't think they'll be able to get them out for another 4 months. They have to stay in there for 4 months. Now, the reason being is that it takes a highly skilled diver to navigate that path. And these are, some of them are 10 years old and incredibly weak. So they need to build up their strength. What they're hoping to do is when monsoon season finishes, they're hoping that the waters will completely recede and it'll be a much easier dive. So it's a 1.9 kilometre dive at the moment, which takes a skilled SEAL 6 hours to do. Oh my God. What 10-year-old has the energy to... The mental state, like the first dive you're ever going to do is going to be the most difficult dive that even a Navy SEAL would have to do. Like, that is insane. I've been reading an article on theguardian.com, and they've just posted an update, and they've asked questions. So they've asked, could the boys dive out? And this is the reply from the AFP. They say, in theory, yes, but it is an extremely difficult task. Cave diving is already very risky, especially for young boys in a weakened state who have no diving experience. The cave where the boys have been trapped is one of Thailand's longest at 10 kilometres and one of the hardest to navigate with its winding and at times narrow corridors. Now, one of the SEALs did say he had to detach his gear, and he really struggled to get through some of the, tunnels in the cave, because he was saying it like wine glasses where it's quite okay and wide, and then suddenly it gets super narrow. Officials have said they would attempt to train the boys to use crucial diving gear after they are rehabilitated with food and water and medical support. They go on to say cave diving is a very technical skill and is extremely dangerous, especially for an untrained diver. So they may end up being better off trying to supply them in the cave until they can get out by other means. They ask, could they be dug out? So from the other side of the cave, going into the mountain and digging them. Explorers have spent days scouring the mountain top for possible alternative openings. They have found a few promising leads and have tried to drill deeper, but there is no indication that any of these chimneys connect to the chamber where the boys have been stranded. Again, the boys need to spend time getting stronger in the depths of the cave before they can attempt to climb up a second entry, even if one is found. What about walking out? This would be the safest option, but at the moment it isn't possible because parts of the route remain flooded. So in theory, they could wait, but that means that means that they have to hope that the waters actually subside. Water pumps are working around the clock to drain the floods, though it's been an uphill battle for much of the week as heavy rains refuse to let up. If the current break in bad weather sticks, this option could be more promising. If the rain fills up the cave system, then that might take months before the water drops again. One of the divers of a Thailand diving company has said. It depends how long it takes for them to regain strength. Experts say they could remain inside for weeks or even months as rescuers work out the safest option for their extraction. The military said on Tuesday, that's today, it was preparing enough food for 4 months. But it did not speculate they could be in there that long. So they're just over-preparing them in case this is the only chance to get them food that they can. I hope they're out soon. I really hope they find a path to just dig them and then lift them out. Having to do that dive would be the most traumatic experience. And it's a difficult dive. It's 6 hours. What happens if something goes wrong with their oxygen or they have a panic attack? These poor kids. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the next week, really. Poor things. I wish I could help. I'd be the worst help ever. You know what's really sad is by the time these kids get out, Hollywood would have already cast them in a movie. Like, that's happening. Oh, well, I hope they all get out all right.